This is a Unity game. It's called Anatomy. And in it, you have to explore a house. This is one of my favorite games that has ever existed in a horror capacity. Look at these skeleton cats. Row. Anatomy is a game that I played many years ago on itch.io, and it has continued to be an interesting game no matter how many times I have looked at it, no matter how many times I've gone through it, no matter what is going on in my life. I, at some point, in some capacity, at some junction, come back to this game.
In the psychology of the modern civilized...
Okay. Can we do that again? Because I hit escape, thinking there might be options, and there were none. I was like, let me put on some subtitles for this. No. No subtitles. Not a one. Of course. Let's try this again. This is a little horror game called Anatomy, taking place on 8/18/1994. Anatomy.
In the psychology of the modern civilized human being, it is difficult to overstate the significance of the house. Since as early as the Neolithic era, humankind has defined itself by its buildings. Buildings for worship, buildings for socializing, buildings for protection, even buildings for the commemoration of the dead. But of all the structures that mankind has invented for itself, there is little doubt that the house is that which it relies upon most completely for its continued survival.
There is a tape in the dining room. If one cannot have a home, can one consider oneself safe? But even in these circumstances of what a home is the home safe? We'd love to think that the home that we live in is impenetrable, impermeable, something that cannot be removed or taken from us, but yet things like fire, flood, natural disaster, burglary can all affect the way that you interact with your home in such an interesting way.
The house is one of the key elements that separates modern humanity from its more primitive antecedents. No other creature goes to such lengths to create lasting, permanent shelter for itself, nor regards said shelters with such reverence and import. Why do human beings of our modern age foster this tremendous sympathy toward their homes? There are many reasons, of course, but perhaps it is due in some small part to seeing them as a reflection of ourselves.
If you take downstairs bathroom, if you take care of your home theoretically should take care of you, right? You'd think so. Is the house going to blossom from a girl to a woman? We'll see.
The anatomy of the house is such that this analogy is less superficial than at first it may seem. To carry it further, if we were to dissect a house as we might a human cadaver, we would find ourselves able to isolate and describe its various appendages and their functions in a decidedly anatomical fashion. There is even a fair number of direct comparisons to be drawn between those organs of a house and those of a human body.
Correct. So something like, there's a tape in the garage, something like a bedroom would be something akin to, I don't know, a a brain or a heart of a house, wouldn't it? Logistically, because that is where the epicenter, like you'd think that it would be like the kitchen or something, or the hearth. No, like the bedroom would be like the heart of the house, because that is where you most vulnerably reside.
For example, let us examine the living room. Often the dominant space of a house's ground level, as well as typically the center of activity in a well-populated home.
Correct.
The living room is very much the heart of the house. While a human heart circulates blood to oxygenate the body's extremities, the living room circulates people, activity, communication. It is the room most likely to be found beating, as active and vivacious as its name would imply. The comparison is only strengthened when we consider also that the living room is most commonly the room to contain the fireplace, making it additionally a locus of actual physical heat.
I did mention the hearth. There's a tape in the living room. Sorry, I got stuck on the couch a little bit. What do you think these paintings are of, and what do you think they symbolize within the house? How do you decorate your home with musculature of the hand? What does it say about this person to have decorated their home in such a way? Anatomy, clearly, is important, but to what end?
It is easy to think of the kitchen and dining room as the stomach or digestive system of the house. This comparison is tenuous. By contrast, the function and analog of a bathroom should be immediately obvious. The hallways and corridors of the house are its veins, providing circulation coursing throughout its frame. A staircase bears more than a passing resemblance, both physically and symbolically, to a spine. The windows of a house serve much the same purpose as eyes, and anyone who has ever rounded a bend or long drive and come suddenly face to face with a tall, dark manor will tell you that it is difficult to shake the impression that the house, through its lightless windows, is a creature capable of vision and intelligence.
It can a house feels like it can see you, because we find the ability to personalize anything as a human in order to pack bond with it. Something that is ours becomes more human because of our involvement. You're digging the higher art appreciation happening in my areas, buddy. We stick around, Bongo. You're gonna see some crazy shit at some point. When I get to the most important things to me.
Direct comparison in this fashion. At a stretch, and allowing for a bit of poetic sympathy, it might be said that the bedroom is not unlike the human mind, or those parts of it which dictate thought and imagination. In the bedroom, dreams are dreamt, passions are ignited, epiphanies are experienced in cold sweat at early hours. In the bedroom is where people invariably spend the majority of their time, though comparatively little of it whilst conscious.
1/3 of your entire life is generally spent asleep. You spend a lot of time in the bedroom, being that it is typically, when you're younger, the only space that you really have for yourself, right? There is not a lot of space that you do gain any kind of control of in a house, except for your own room, for the most part. This feels like it's missing something. Close the door. Okay. Stick my finger in the electrical socket. I do really like this game. I think this is fascinating.
And yet, this analogy is an incomplete one, for obviously the mind is an exceedingly complex thing. If the bedroom represents the thinking, dreaming part of the brain,
I will, Bongo. Thank you for tuning in.
That represents those lower, unconscious parts. The basement is dark. It is buried. It is a place full of cobwebs where memories are stored. A poignant comparison, truly. Often the unnerving uncertainty that comes with considering the deeper aspects of the human psyche is not unlike gazing down at the swimming blackness pooled at the bottom of a basement stairwell. It is a place we spend our childhoods filling with monsters that will lay for years in patient silence. It is a place that, barring some specific errand, we seldom ever want to go.
I have spent a lot of time in various basements in my life, and they're not, honestly, they're not as scary as you might think. As one that does not really subscribe to any kind of occult or supernatural belief, I think that a basement is just another room that is mostly misunderstood. And yet, if there were ever a time to see something slink up the stairs at you, it would be now, wouldn't it? Into the dark. The pure emptiness, black bleakness that comes with a basement. Its many shelves, its astute cleanliness. Your eyes will play tricks upon you. Was that a shadow? Why is this tape just affixed to a wall instead of it being on a shelf or somewhere that may be more understandable or logical? A basement doesn't do what you expect it to do. And the important thing to understand about a basement is it is another room in the house. It's one that doesn't get touched or seen necessarily as much as the others. And anything, technically, can really reside within your basement. Living in a place that my wife and I had the opportunity to live in and exist within multiple basements, I have found that a basement usually has nothing more than, as they said, cobwebs, insects, maybe a rat. But in terms of a person, I point this out again, we look into the depths and look for answers or meaning or what have you. And they're not exactly where you think they would be. In less safe, more vulnerable areas. And I think that says quite a bit about how we view the basement. It's dark, it's dreary, it's dank, it's a place that we don't want to necessarily go to all the time. But if you can make it homey and inviting, it can be as important to a person as any other room in the house. But neglected, unfinished. It harbors something. And everybody that looks into the darkness of a basement is going to be seeing something different from what the previous person may have seen. It's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of understanding. It's a matter of knowing what goes bump in the night.
Of course, this comparison, though appropriate, is a very heavy-handed one. And often the basement is little more than a storage space, littered with the corpses of spiders and woodlice.
Correct.
While poets and psychoanalysts no doubt dread the thought of a dark basement, in truth, it is the bedroom, the waking mind, that place of dreams, which is actually the most frightening of all.
Basements are typically places where the worst things that happen in a home don't necessarily happen. There can be, there may be. But typically the worst infractions you can put upon somebody are in a bedroom. Domestic violence or abuse. Most time you stay in these rooms is potentially spent in danger, in misunderstanding, in fear, potentially, depending on how exactly you look at this room, this one particular room. What does a bedroom mean to the individual? There are many emotions that can be felt within the bedroom. Love, lust, loss, anger, jealousy, fear.
It is here, in the bedroom, that we are at our most vulnerable. Each night we shut our senses to the world for hours at a time, trusting in the house to keep us safe until next we wake. In this state of extreme vulnerability, we will spend something like 20% of our lives. Anything might stand beside us, watch us, keep us company until dawn, and we would never perceive it. We can only pray that the house will not let such things carry on as we sleep. In this way, during these hours, the bedroom seems less like a mind and more like a mouth. For it is here that the house is most likely to betray us. It is here that we place ourselves most at the house's mercy and spend each night hoping that it will not bite down.
Anatomy continues. The game shuts off there. It forces a stop on you and forces you to re-explore this home. You know that nothing is wrong in the house. You should be able to go back through it. It is, in fact, familiar to you at this point as any other home. Why should there be something unknown in this home? Unless you invited it yourself. We've got this quiet oscillating happening in the background. Breaking plates like lost teeth. In our own home, no less. How are we to treat a house in such a way?
In the psychology of the modern civilized human being, it is difficult to overstate the significance of the house. Since as early as the Neolithic era, humankind has defined the dead. Of all the structures that mankind has invented for itself, there is little doubt that the house is that which it relies upon most completely for its continued survival.
There's a tape in the dining room. Is there? Thank you. There's lots and lots of darkened windows. What is outside of them? What is this house and where are we?
Other human beings of our modern age foster this tremendous sympathy.
There's a tape in the downstairs bathroom. Something is not right here. What happened in this home? It's so loud.
Sir, panorama change for delivery.
The doors are unlocked. Thank you so much. Oh my god. Oh my god. The sound that those just made. Thank you so much, Panorama, for gifting a sub to Bongo Turtles. Very much appreciated. We are 15 subs away from making me play Alien Isolation in VR. And I'll tell you what, I had to repurchase it today because it was on sale on Steam, and that's the only way that I'm actually going to get it to work on Steam, because it's not going to work where I wanted it to on the other version of the game that I had it on Epic Games. So you know what? We're fine. We're fine. We're going to make this work. I am going to, hopefully, eventually play through all of Alien Isolation. I think once the shock of what Alien Isolation is doing wears off, I should be better. This is the hope. And there are doors unlocked. This Z fighting is actually a really easy effect to go and make happen. So if you have two textures that are against each other, depending on where the player's perspective is on them, it's possible that they could just keep clipping in and out of each other. All right. This window also does not exist. Thank you, Z Fighting. Now I lay me down to sleep. This house... Something has happened here. Something is wrong in this house. And what does happen in a house that goes wrong? Are we liable? Is it our fault when something goes wrong in a home? When the fear starts to build, are we culpable? Is it our fault? Can things have changed? Should things have changed? In your home that will slowly fall apart and get filled with dust and cobwebs and monsters of your own design, where does it end? Where does it end? Because if it has no end, and will continue on forever and ever and ever, then ultimately the foundation of the house, that which protects you, that which you have ascribed meaning to and created it, what happens to the home then? When you have destroyed the sanctity of the home, when the home itself becomes its own type of monster. Being home is a problem. Leaving home is a problem. When it becomes part of the issue, where does it end? We could have taken steps to make sure that our home was not made like this. To make sure that it didn't happen this way. To ensure that there is no pain, no heartache, no death, no problems. We could have started again. We could have made things beautiful from the beginning. But due to the way that life goes on, we lose these opportunities, and the house takes on the appearance and the problems of its hosts.
By contrast, the function and analyze of a bathroom should be immediately obvious. The hallways and corridors of the house are like veins, providing circulation coursing throughout its frame. A staircase bears more than a passing resemblance, both physically and symbolically, to a spine. The windows of the house serve much the same purpose as eyes, and anyone who has ever rounded a bend on a long drive and come suddenly face to face with a pale, dark manor will tell you that the house is a creature capable of...
The house is a creature capable of sight. Wouldn't you say that the house itself has life to it? Wouldn't you admit? Couldn't you admit that there is a life to be had in a home? Something beautiful, something tremendous. And yet, through our actions and inactions, we remove this possibility, this endless ability for things to be the ways that we require them. The beauty turns to pain. The pain to neglect. And the horrors of the person inhabit the home. There's nowhere for the things, the pain, the problems to go. The house takes it on themselves.
The bedroom is perhaps the room that most eludes direct comparison in this fashion. At a stretch, and allowing for a bit of poetic sympathy, it might be said that the bedroom is not unlike the human mind, or those parts of it which dictate thought and imagination. In the bedroom, I
dream that there are teeth growing all over me, everywhere on me and in me, like cysts or bone spurs. They're loose, but I can't remove them because I have no hands. I look out through the bedroom window and I see a truck approaching. A young man steps out, approaches, and enters through the front door. His body is covered in swollen ticks the size of quarters. He's walking through the downstairs hallway and laughing. He begins urinating on the wall. He spits on the carpet. He's moving through the first floor, breaking and upsetting things. He goes to the basement and stands at the top of the stairs. I'm angry at him, so I slam the door and he falls down. I can feel his bones snapping. The ticks are bursting, oozing old black blood everywhere. I can feel them being ground up, dissolved and torn, splitting and shredding. I leave the door closed. I close my eyes and try to sleep. The teeth continue growing on me until there's nothing left of me but teeth, and gums, and sinew.
The basement is dark.
The basement is dark. We stand at the top of the stairs and we wait. We wait. To disrespect
Sir,
a home.
panorama change for delivery.
Panorama, thank you for giving my mother a gift sub. Thank you so much, Mom. Now you can watch with no ads. I can watch with no ads, and you get some extra emojis here on the channel. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Panorama. I'm glad you're enjoying this enough to drop a couple subs. This is, I think, one of the more fascinating, intimate experiences you can have with a little horror game. I love this game. I do really love this game. Anatomy. We start in the bedroom this time. The world torn asunder. This looks like a sleep paralysis demon taking hold of someone. The textures, there's too many windows. They don't make sense. The doors open and lead nowhere. Black bars like veins. Like pieces that shouldn't exist in this world. Floating masses enter the home. It didn't give you sandwich boost from gift subs? That's fucked. That's a painting. The Winchester House in San Jose, California, actually, Mom, you bring up a good little point there. The Winchester House the Winchester House was developed by it was built by Sarah Winchester, the wife of the creator of the Winchester rifle, who believed constantly that she was being haunted by ghosts. Ghosts of the people that her husband's rifle had killed. We are in, similarly, the belly of the beast. Doors will forever be able to open, but things will never be able to be the same. The things we can interact with in the home are wrong. You never came back. Widow was constantly adding to the house, thinking it was going to change. What these spirits wanted, what these ghosts were implying and fighting against. There was a superstition. It was superstition. It was tomfoolery. It's a very interesting place. It's fascinating to go and be able to walk through. I've seen footage. It's there's a lot. There's quite a lot there. And slowly, as we infect a house with ourselves, with our poisons that we as humans can only give to it, we make the house worse. Our safe space, our home, our important plot of land, the most important thing that a human can have in their lives, we bring discomfort, misfortune, evil into the home. We invite it with our own thoughts and actions and feelings. We turn comfort into discomfort through our own selfishness. Through our own desire for tension, subjugation, love. Where does it end? Where can it end? When reality is falling apart around us and the crashing of our own lives are ringing around our ears like so many bullets falling to the ground, what can we do? When the life that we live is so disgusting, so unfortunate, so terrifying, and so evil, what else is our home to do besides just take that visage on? How far will our homes be able to go before they no longer have the ability to give us the protection and comfort that we so desire? When will our homes become monsters like us? I can't get up there. Still no there. Bathroom this time? Yep, bathroom. And as you move from the safety and sanctity of all the rooms in the house, where nothing was before, where anything else resides currently, hurts. It hurts. It hurts. We started this journey in a place that was dark, uncomfortable, foreboding. And we ignored its pleas, its attempts, its cries to tell us, don't. Keep away, please. For it twists you too. Now lay me down to sleep. Thank you. Thank you for screaming still. Thank you for still the screaming. Thank you for still the screaming. But it still stands. Nothing can stay forever. Nothing gold can stay, to use an old adage, but sometimes in a home that is this broken, this far gone, we can hear screaming in another room and fail to do anything about it. A house will remove our humanity so much as we have removed the humanity from the house. Love and respect, the house and yourself are tied into each other. And when your home is as infected as this, what does that say about the mind? When your residence, your place of living is as poisoned and distorted as this, what do we become? What else is there to become? We hunger. No tape in here. There's a screaming again. Thank you. And unfortunately, as much as we, like the house at this point, does hunger, we're never going to be able to be sated. The answers that we seek are not the ones we'll get. when our minds are clouded and poisoned, so too does our living area. I spent lots of time in basements over the last few years avoiding terrible, terrible things. Neglect, abuse, problems with those that you thought that you could love and trust, and again you are betrayed. So what becomes the house you live in?
If we were to dissect the house, we would find organs and stomach, brains and minds and eyes.
You can't find my stream on Uber Eats? Chris Crandall! Thank you for tuning into the Sandwichard Experience. You're catching the end of Anatomy, a short horror game that I do so love. But I've spent years in basements. When I previously had a home, my wife and I lived in the finished basement and finished bedroom that were put into the basement in a bungalow-style home. And the concept was at some point we were going to be able to inherit this house. The horrors began after we were married, and it was swallowed up by greed, negligence, lack of caring. And soon after we were married, the house was gone. Not by our hands, but by the forces that we could not control. The things that go bump in the night. And in the next house we had, the basement was where I found solace, where I spent days after days after days smoked out, trying to just exist, refusing to be. And the home that we lived in slowly turned into its own monster. We only felt safe in certain areas, and it was only safe for so long, as we were the only ones that were there. We could never be the only ones that were there. The bedrooms slowly turned to horrors. And the basement was the only solace that we had provided to us. Step by step, you go down the stairs and you find, ideally, what you're looking for. Some kind of help, some kind of safety, some kind of solace in a home that will not have you. A home that is turned into a monster by others' hands. A home that hates you. A home that will eat you alive with the teeth.
There is an important distinction that must be drawn between the words dissection and vivisection. A distinction that would appear to be lost on you. Your purpose was to listen, and yet at every turn you have pried, you have prodded, and you have interfered. Have you not been paying attention? Did it not occur to you that as an organism existing within a greater organism, your intrusion would be felt? And still you harassed. And now, like the wayward spider who witlessly settles upon a sweeper's tongue, you will be swallowed. Because the truth is this. When a house is both hungry and awake, every room becomes a mouth.
When your home is taken from you, who are you? What does your life have included in it when you have no safety? When you are at the mercy of the home itself? What does that mean? Who are you? Really? When you don't have four walls and a ceiling protecting you, who are you? Are you that darkness and corruption that you don't want to get out anywhere? Or are you just something else chewed up and eaten by the home? Anatomy is an important horror game to me because a home is the safest and scariest thing that one can have.
What happens to a house when it is left alone? When it becomes worn and aged? When its paint peels and its foundations begin to sink? When it goes for too long unlived in? What does it think of? What does it dream? How does it regard those creatures who built it? Brought it into existence only to abandon it when its usefulness no longer satisfies them? It may grow lonesome. It may stare for long hours into the darkness of its own empty halls and see shadows. And its heart may jump as it thinks, here's someone again, I'm not alone. And each time it is wrong, and the hurt starts over. It may haunt itself, inventing ghosts to walk its floors, making friends with its shadow puppets, laughing and whispering to itself at the end of some quiet cul-de-sac. It may grow angry. Its basement may fill with churning acid like an empty stomach, and its gorge may rise as it asks itself through clenched teeth, what did I do wrong? It may grow bitter. It may grow hungry. So hungry and so bitter that its scruples dissolve and its doors unlock themselves. While a house may hunger, it cannot starve. And so, in fever and anger and loneliness, it may simply lie in wait. Doors open, shades drawn, hallways empty, hungry.
When everything is gone, who are you? When you are as empty as a vacant home, who are you? What does it mean for yourself? What can you do? Fill yourself with people? You'd have to invite them. You'd have to have the space to begin with. I hope that You do not bare your teeth at the next visitor, at the next potential sign of comfort. Do not turn them down. I've had an incredibly hard number of years in the last few. And just this last week alone, I was terribly sick. And we met some friends. And I drove home with my wife. And about 2 blocks from the house, I ran out of gas. I told my wife to get into the driver's seat and put it in neutral and be able to get ready to steer and get ready to hit the brakes. And about 10 minutes in, I am tired from pushing this 1,500-pound vehicle. I've barely made it a block. My wife's friends message and say, hey, we can come back for you guys. We can help you out. And then soon after that, somebody stops by on the side of the road and offers to grab me a gas can. Decked out in zombie makeup. My Night of the Living Dead, as it were. And left and came back with gas. And while I was waiting and pushing a little more to get out of the middle of the street so we didn't cause a problem, somebody else came by as they were walking by on their way to whatever they were doing, and also provided a hand to push. About 5 minutes after that, the first guy comes back with a gas can. I say, how much do we owe you? Thank you so much. He says, don't worry about it. It was about $12. And I wanted to cry. It's not very often in my real life that I get to experience the kindness of strangers in such a way. Through the ones on Twitch, that, of course, that's a given. They're all wonderful. Thank you so much. But in my real life, day to day, it is complicated and messy and hard. And I was like this house. I think I was like this house. Anatomy was a warning a couple years ago. Don't let yourself become a haunted house. And it happened despite all my best efforts. Treat yourselves well. Treat yourselves well. That was Anatomy. That was a game I had been looking forward to playing literally all month so far. And we have one more game that I would like to play tonight. As soon as we come back from a break here, I need 5 minutes to go to the bathroom to give my wife a kiss. And we'll be back here on the Sandwichard Experience very shortly. Don't touch that dial. You will not smile. We'll be back here with a little game called PT.